The Patriotic Guards were formed in 1968 after the 21st of August Bucharest speech, through which Communist Party General Secretary and State Council President Nicolae Ceausescu condemned the crushing of the Prague Spring by Soviet forces. Nicolae Ceausescu appealed to anti-Soviet sentiment within the general population to ask for resistance against the perceived threat of a similar Soviet invasion against Romania itself. The nationalist themes he used and their immediate effect in rallying large proportions of the public, who began organizing and arming themselves under the direction of the Romanian Communist Party, or the Partidul Comunist Roman. Although the threat of perceived invasion was over by the end of the year, the Patriotic Guards remained a feature in the Republic's communist structure. They became a permanent addition to the regular army, and compulsory training was introduced for young men and young women. For university students, this meant that hours of curriculum were reserved for shooting drills, guerrilla warfare tactics, and other such training courses. Soon, they were also doubled by additional requirements for work in the fields when they actually got something planted. This was also asked from high school students, middle school students, as well as their teachers and young pioneers. No longer backed by enthusiasm, as they had been in the early 1970s, the Patriotic Guards nevertheless were the basic line of defense against projected invasions. The threat posed by invasion and the latter seemed to increase as the regime plunged itself into isolation, especially after it lost the support of the Western Bloc in the early 1980s, the southeastern Yugoslavia. But no money. From that point on, the Patriotic Guards were to become part of the state apparatus of repression against its own people, like the Securitate. But unlike the Securitate, not everybody was checked for loyalty. During the Romanian Revolution of December 1989, Nicolae Ceausescu attempted to use them against the protesters, notably in Timisoara. However, the pace of events and the breadth of hostilities to his regime outstripped his plan. As the revolution progressed, many Patriotic Guard members who, like most other Romanians, were fed up with Nicolae Ceausescu's failed economic policies and suffering from declining living standards, actually joined the protesters, like 1917 all over again, huh? To no small extent, the people who were meant to be armed in case of disturbances were in fact the ones causing the disturbance. Irony in Romania? Never heard of it. The Patriotic Guards were an all-inclusive public security organization. Its function included normal civilian policing, firefighting, and a very large people's militia force. During wartime, it was to provide rear echelon and rear area security, augment the ground forces, and operate as guerrillas if their areas were overrun by the invaders, whoever the invaders were. In the 1980s, Romanian communism took on a militarized form. Ilie Ceausescu, sounds familiar? General in the Romanian People's Army and brother to Nicolae Ceausescu, same name, probably related, summarized the new trials of his Istoria Militară e Populară Roman, or the military history of the Romanian people. The work soon turned into the official dogma of the Patriotic Guard, and argued that Romanians had always had the largest standing army in the world. Notably, he consistently chose to add up the entire population as present under arms. This constituted a message for the future, since the regime had always established a strong connection with all its past forms, from Vlad the Impaler, Wallachia, December the 1st, 1918, and the Kingdom of Romania, and even World War II Axis and Communist Romania. As such, the ideology behind the formation of the Patriotic Guards were rendered as the war of the entire people's military doctrine, inspired by the Yugoslav Total People's Defense Doctrine. I told you that they were the southeastern Yugoslavia. Same course and everything. Not liked by the Soviets, not liked by the Western Allies. Isolated, different form of communism. Their leader was like a god. I mean, in all of the communist states as well, but you know what I mean. It took into the extreme. But Tito was a cool guy. As such, the ideology behind the formation of the Patriotic Guards were rendered as the war of the entire people's military doctrine, inspired by the Yugoslav Total People's Defense Doctrine. The paramilitary formations were trained to adopt guerrilla warfare tactics in case of war. Now, the Patriotic Guards were staffed by around 700,000 citizens in 1989, both men and women, equality, both being paid nothing. In keeping with the doctrine of the war of the entire people, the Patriotic Guards were a combined territorial defense or a national guard and civic defense force and organization, which was established immediately after the Soviet-led Warsaw-Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia or the Prague Spring. The Patriotic Guards worked closely with the Minister of National Defense of the time, but were directly subordinate to the PCR, or the Partidul Comunist Roman, and its youth organizations like the Young Pioneers. Relying more on ordinary citizens than the professional military, the Patriotic Guards serve as a potential counterweight or check to the power and influence of regular armed forces, and that's why his brother was actually a general in the People's Army. Yeah, armies have a tendency to overthrow people they don't like. Yep, even though we're Matt was close. In 1989, the Patriotic Guards were organized into companies and platoon-sized units in almost every Judit, municipality, town, village, and industrial or agricultural enterprise, under the command of the first secretary of the local PCR apparatus. They conducted basic and refresher training in small arms handling and fire, demolitions, mortar and grenade launching firing, small unit tactics, guerrilla warfare tactics, and also engineering and pioneering works. In wartime, they had the responsibility for local anti-aircraft defenses, providing early warning to aircraft attacks and even nuclear attacks, defending against population centers and important elements of national infrastructure, and conducting civil engineering works as needed to re-establish essential military production after an attack. They would also recontrol and attack enemy flanks and rear end and rear echelon areas, and they also combated airborne units and special forces penetrating deep into Romania, and mount resistant operations against occupying forces, mostly in the mountains, in the valleys, in the fields, and even on the coastline. Yes, Romania has a coastline in the Black Sea. We'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them in the hills, on the landing grounds, and in our glorious capital, Bucharest. In keeping with the guerrilla image, especially the World War II guerrilla image, and actually as a subtle nod, I don't want to speak out of my ass, but as a subtle nod, the Patriotic Guards wore plain uniforms, everyday uniforms with no insignia or no badges of rank, to symbolize the resistance movements, especially of communist parties, more Central and Eastern, you know what I mean, like World War II communist partisans. So that was that. And that is the end of the Patriotic Guard. This is actually the better one. I liked it. Still 20 minutes too. I don't know if you like the more stereo voice. You gotta tell me. Is it bad? Is it good? I don't know. I articulated all the words properly. Well, there I go. Well, at least the video's ended and properly wasn't actually in the script. So thank God for that. But anyway, guys, the truth has been getting better. I won't say it's like 100% no pain, but I guess it's sensitivity. I don't know, like the bottom always gets more pain than the top, I guess because the bottom has to deal with all the saliva and all the crumbs, and most of the time you're eating from the back and the bottom, not the top. So pretty interesting. But thank you, hope you enjoyed. I need to get some water. Had some water, but all of it's gone. So yeah, no dehydrating, not even for a video. Stay hydrated, my friends. Hope you enjoyed. Finding actual Romanian, actually finding footage for this was hard. So if you see repeated footage, don't blame me. I might try and do one more quickly, and there was a paragraph that didn't sound too good, and that was what was it, in the 1980s, the official ideology of the Patriotic Guard. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and this is just in case, so it will cut off anyway, so you will never know. That's the power of editing, my friends. But hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and there's going to be a small Easter egg that ties into a bigger Easter egg. So when I'm going to take a shit now, and when I come back, we're going to do the ideology part again, and we're going to start the Easter egg. So let me put this on pause. Hopefully everything sounds great, and the background noise was not too bad. Oh yeah, and the last post for this mic is the new one is coming, so respect to this mic for getting me this far, and hopefully in the new year you'll be getting better quality. But this is not bad. If you want to start and you don't want like super, like you just want to play games and stuff and just record, this is actually a pretty good mic. I won't lie. If I didn't want high production, and if we were like still in 2012, I could have probably get away. But anyway, I gotta go and take a shit. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, signed up for the Emo Syndicate Guard and protect us against the Copa and other perceived enemies of the state. Anyway, totalitarian left signing out, and yeah, communism bitch. Yeah, I gotta take a shit later. Right, after long interrupted shit, we are finally back. Grandfather, we are going to patriotic art practice. Alright, have fun, but I remember back in the day, don't you want to hear about Grandpa's war stories? Fine, grandfather. You have 1 minute to hear about your war stories of the Imperial German Army. Okay, the year was 1914, and unlike the war in Europe, I remember being in the Pacific. Specifically,
de voturi pe inculpații Ceaușescu Nicolae și Ceaușescu Elena la pedeapsa capitală și confiscarea totală a averii pentru săvârșirea infracțiunilor de genocid prevăzut de act 357 alineatul 1 litera C cod penal.
Nu vreau, nu.
E stați de acolo.
Nu e voie să le legați. Nu,
de acolo.
Stați la joc, băi, nu mă legați, mă, e rușine. E rușine, v-am crescut. Ca o mamă. Stați la un loc, mă. Și asta, rupeți mâna, dați-mi drumul la mână. Dați-mi drumul.